Or
yeah, main one. There we go. Live. Just as Steve's about to strip for us.
Sorry.
I hope not. We'll lose our viewers, won't we?
We're trying to get engagement up, Steve, not down.
Well, you know,
Right,
getting a bit hot in this hoodie.
Yeah, it is warm out there, which is lovely, actually. And we're live. We're live on Thursday at 6 o'clock, or it's 6:01. And we're here for your property Q&A, live Q&A. We do these every Thursday for about half an hour, just so that everyone can get their live questions in. We can give you a little bit of an update on the property market, how we're finding it live. We've got coverage from West Reading. We've got Crowthorne, Sandhurst, Finch. We've got Steve down on the South Coast. I can give you some information about things kind of all around the south of England at the moment, and chats that we're having with agents. I was talking to an agent in Shropshire today. So all coverage in all angles of the UK in reality, and more specific stuff from Steve, Ryan and Will in their specific areas where their businesses are live. So if you've got questions, we would love for you to pop them into the chats and we will answer them live. Don't be shy. We do not bite. We don't mind what you ask us, to be honest. We will respond to anything. And yeah, pop us a like and just let us know that you can hear us, because we're on YouTube, we're on LinkedIn, we're on Facebook, everywhere tonight. So yeah, just pop us a live chat. But let's go large. Let's get our faces everywhere. Steve, you said you were hot. The sun is shining. The market seems to be popping. How is the South Coast? Is it full of swim shorts in the sea yet, or not quite that warm?
It's not quite that warm, but you do see some colourful outfits down here. Yeah, it's a coastal town. There's always the eccentrics on the coast.
Well, I've got some avocado swimming shorts that are pink with avocados all over them. So
I hope they're a little bit bigger than an avocado.
Oh yeah,
but there's lots of avocados on there. Lots of avocados. Right, and how are we doing? You've gone with the blurred screen tonight. Talk us through your decision.
So my sister moved in with me about 4 weeks ago, so I lost my office. So I'm now in my bedroom where my office is, which is fine, but I thought, you know, it's a private place, isn't it? So I thought I'd blur the screen. Not that it's messy, it's nice and tidy. Well, this side is, off camera it's not. So that's why the blurred screens came. And it was a lot dark. It was a lot lighter, when I set the camera up about half an hour ago. But I said the sun's just disappearing through the window, so it's just gone a bit dark. So apologies for that. But
that's the logic behind it. And Will, I'll come to you as we're just asking random questions here. Sore neck? Got a bit of a cushion behind you there.
it's not a sore neck actually. No, I'm just making sure before the live is sort of fully stretched out and ready to go. But yeah, the neck's feeling good actually.
I was sat with your business partner for the last couple of hours, and that is a busy man at the moment.
We are really busy we're really busy. We've had a really, really crazy couple of weeks, busy weekend, another busy weekend coming up. So it's all good. Good.
Well, we've got a question straight away off the bat from DNA Drones and Marketing. Drone pilot Andy. Evening, gents. With the news about the so-called recession disappearing, is the housing market showing signs of improving? I did an Instagram reel talking about inflation dropping down to single digits for the first time in what seems like a long time, down to 8.7 from I think it was 10.1 when it was previously reported, which is a nice positive sign. But I mean, my overall take on answering that question, looking at things from just an avocado south of England perspective, it's been pretty bonkers since the Easter holidays, I would say. I don't know about you, Brian. What's your thoughts on that?
Completely agree. I think we've gone through that turmoil from that mini budget. Sorry to get that in the first few minutes, but back in October, we had like 4 or 5 months of just uncertainty. There's a little bit sour taste in the market. But as you said, late March going into April, first week of April was quite quiet. And then since then, like the last 6 weeks, we have literally not stopped. And I think obviously the sign of or the so-called recession not happening now, that's great news. It's just going to only help fuel enthusiasm. But the market's in a really, really great place. What I love about it, it's not crazy like it was in the lockdown years in 2021, 2022. It's very, very stable, but it gives a bit more time to spend some time with clients. It's just not as crazy. You can actually focus on a good job.
Yeah.
Market seems to be really good. Everything we're coming on. I mean, I think we did the last 7 sales we've done in the last 5 or 6 weeks have all been sold within 2 weeks and very close, if not the asking price or above. So, yeah, market's looking pretty promising, and this news is only going to further enhance that.
Yeah. And Steve, from your point of view, do you feel the same? It's kind of, if the pricing's right, things will move as quickly as they were previously. It's just when maybe agents are still leaving a bit of cream on the top and not really understood the correction in the pricing. Would you say that's fair?
I wouldn't say it's solely down to agents, if I'm honest. I think some homeowners are still hoping to, grab the cherry as well as the cake. But it's been the old adage, if you price something rightly, it will sell, regardless of condition, location. If every house was £1, every person in the UK would be queued up to buy them. They're not queuing up at the same rate now, which tells us that the correction is still ongoing. And I've seen the most price reductions this year so far, month on month, and it's in the 250 to 300 bracket.
Yeah,
so
interesting.
It is slightly different. Every town has its own mini climate, if you like, mini market, where you get different demands for the towns. But overall, yeah, I'm seeing price reductions still happening at the same rate as instructions coming on, and numbers of sales have slowed slightly, but not in any sort of worrying levels. 10%, 12% from month April.
It's interesting. The South Coast is like that. Will, I know where we were looking at things around more kind of the home counties area. You're obviously Crowthorne, Sandhurst, Finchampstead, and around that area. It still feels like it's got pretty active again, hasn't it, on sales and stuff?
Yeah.
Are you finding, when you're talking to vendors in the living room, like Steve says, is this a case of trying to balance expectations between agents and sellers? Is there a sort of a middle ground where actually it works, or is it a case of sellers are actually the ones still not understood, the prices have changed, or is it the agents? What are you finding?
I think the difficulty comes in when you've got maybe people inviting maybe 3 or 4 estate agents round, and say, for example, I'm last through the door. A seller's expectation of what they now think their house is worth maybe overinflated because of what they've been told by perhaps 2 or 3 other estate agents. That, of course, then sort of sets a positivity in their minds that, oh, okay, well, actually, that's really good. I'm happy to put that on the market for that, whatever the case may be. So there have been times where I've been sort of going around and sort of saying, look, prices aren't where they were a couple of years ago. That was just crazy, obviously, like Ryan and Steve said. So, but I mean, I was just looking then, actually, the last 3 houses that we've put on and sold have all gone within a week or under. I did 2 open houses on the weekend, had the best part of 24 viewings, 21 viewings, something like that. Both properties had 4 offers on. Both properties have sold for over what we've put it on for. And then, the sale before that as well, really nice sort of bungalow over in Finchampstead. Again, a couple of people interested, went straight away, asking price within under a week. So, there's definitely demand there, and we may come on to it, but obviously the house price index has recently come out, hasn't it, from Rightmove, which I think says that prices are up 1.8%, I think, this month. So
interesting stuff, isn't it, when you see these? I've got the Home Movers Pulse here from 20CI, which is like strong data stuff. There's no manipulation here. It's used for various shops and all sorts, but they also focus on the property market, which is great. And they're looking at current instruction levels on the kind of last month, if you like, or so far in May, because they roll it from certain dates to months. And what we're seeing here is in April 2023, I'll just highlight it down the bottom here. The South East had the highest number of new instructions so far of the year. And then already in May, so far, the region, it's been broken again in terms of listed properties. So quite nice to see that it's active with listings coming to the market. And it definitely feels like since Easter, more properties are selling. sales agreed, which is this one, you can see the southeast here is up, and actually the southeast continues to be the most active of all areas. Lots of properties being sold, 61,000 there to a listed 95. So that feels as normal as anything in terms of those ratios for properties actually selling in comparison to what's being listed. So across the average of all estate agents, let's say that's about 50 to 55% of what's coming to the market is selling when you just look at month to month. For Avocado, I'm really proud to say that the same data report, the top 50 estate agents in the southeast of England, where we do sit, we have the highest selling conversion rate of any agent in that top 50. The other 49 agents from listed to sold, we're the only estate agent in the southeast with an 80% plus conversion rate on sales. So where Will and Mike are talking there, it's not maybe just every agent is experiencing that, but we definitely are across the group, which is lovely to see, isn't it, Ryan?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. It just goes to show, doesn't it? Like, focus on attention to detail, marketing, quality estate agents, the results are there. Anyone can sell a house, but whether they get the right price or do it consistently, it's a very, very different story, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%. Well, what was the data again on the Rightmove house price index? Have you got any more stats from there? Do you say it was 1.8% up on listed properties last month?
Yeah, so the average price of property coming to the market jumps by 1.8% this month to a new record of 372,894 in a delayed response to the higher than expected level of market activity since the start of the year. Agreed sales numbers are currently just 3% behind the last more normal pre-pandemic market of 2019. And there's something else here which I thought was interesting. The discount from final asking price to sale agreed has steadied at an average of 3.1%, in line with normal market levels, reflecting home mover confidence in the outlook for the market.
Well, Red, we could put you on a news channel, Will.
Shuffle your papers now, Will.
Yeah, sorry, yeah.
That's good to hear, though. I mean, basically what that's saying is, look, it's normal, isn't it, really? That's my takeaway from it. So you've seen all sorts of different markets, Steve. I'm not going to say you've seen more than us because that would be wrong of me to assume that you have. But let's say you have. You've seen all sorts of different markets, Steve. How does this compare to some of the others?
It's pretty much a normal market. I mean, I worked in 89 when VAT was the same as interest rates at 15%, and people were still buying. There's always a market. People always have to move for one reason or another, and that's going to lead on to our next bit in the moment of what increases prices. But there's always a need for people to move.
Well, what were you doing in 89, bud?
I wasn't even in my mum's tummy.
Yeah, I was just about to say that. I'm shocked that Steve was selling houses in 89 and me and Will weren't even born.
You don't want to know where I was then.
So if you want an experienced estate agent on the South Coast, particularly Havant and Hayling Islands, this guy is your guy. Ryan, you brought this up in the backstage when we were spending hours before we do these shows setting up exactly how we're going to talk. And you were talking about we need to chat about estate agents in the UK being qualified. Should they be qualified? They're not at the moment. Yes, estate agents are regulated by the Ombudsman, by PRS. There is a level of authority on there as well from an AML point of view. But in terms of becoming an estate agent, the truth is at 17 years old, you could rock up after failing a college course and become an agent and, spend 80 quid on a suit and off you go, really, isn't it? So what's right and what's wrong? Is this the ultimate answer to get rid of the rogue agents and try and regulate the industry in a better way? Or is this not really the answer? Is tests and courses and badges the way to go or not, as the case may be? What's your take on it, Ryan?
Well, so I heard it come up on a podcast a few weeks ago about, should it all be regulated? Because there's obviously this whole rhetoric, obviously, estate agents are who they are. You know, it's just not, it's not a profession to be proud of. And obviously we've all been in suits on high streets and experienced that. And across the world, it's seen as a profession. You look in America, Australia, like it's a good profession to be in. And obviously, you know, our mantra in terms of Avocado and what we do is obviously take it back to basics, throw out the rule book and just focus on what really matters, which is the client. Is regulation the right way to go? I thought it was an interesting topic to pose. I personally don't think regulations, i.e. have to be qualified to be an estate agent, is probably the right answer, because you're still going to find, there's people going to find loopholes. There's still going to be bad agents. It's not going to help the industry as such. Shameless plug here, but I was talking about my podcast with Matt, Living Room Chat podcast. Check us out. And Matt came up, I won't take it from him. Matt came up with a really good idea. Is it regulation and being qualified as an estate agent that's going to improve the overall industry? Or is it the birth of more self-employed estate agents becoming very similar to the American real estate model that's going to change the industry and make it overall a better place to work, a better place to, you know, be in a better, stronger position to tell people what you do, and people go, oh, great, that's a cool industry to be in. That's not going to change overnight. But I personally, after Matt said that, I thought about it. I think more and more self-employed agents where they care more about the client, it matters more to them, they're running their own business. I think that's going to have a bigger impact on recreating the industry than qualifications, sitting down and doing an exam to say, woohoo, I've qualified. Is my opinion. Don't know what everyone else's thoughts were.
Yeah. I was asked also on a podcast, I was asked the question, in theory, what is the difference between a self-employed limited business owner estate agent and a traditional estate agent that's employed? Just straight up, what's the big difference? And I went through the lists of them, but one of the key things for me was communication for over 2 decades has been the number one complaint in our industry. And that is because of the layers of departments and passing of different clients around to different people in traditional agency. You just don't get that with the self-employed agent, you know, the business owner like you three are and myself. You don't get that because it's one point of contact from start to finish, and it's our business. So we care more than anything about making it right, and the recommendation that comes from it and doing the right thing for that client. It just means that much more because it's ours. So I think that will have a huge impact on the quality, and already is having a huge impact. What about yourself, Will? What's your thoughts on that?
Let's face it, you know, before the sort of self-employed model came along, you know, the aim of the game is simply a numbers game, and that is where I think the estate agents traditionally have got a bad name, because, you know, the aim of the game wasn't to get the house price right necessarily. It was to make sure you came back with that you could chalk something on the board. And that, of course, then meant that if you've got the price wrong, you've effectively tied somebody into something which perhaps knowingly wasn't the right advice. So perhaps that comes back to whether or not people should be qualified to do it, because if people are pushed into making decisions which aren't necessarily the right advice because there's no kind of regulation around it, you end up with a load of properties on the market. Then they start reducing, and you're not putting the client first. So yeah, I think that, you know, whether or not it's qualifications like we've said, or whether or not actually it's things like us that drives the industry forward. I mean, what's probably quite interesting, sorry to ramble on, is there's been instructions that, or people that have wanted to sell, sorry, it was very estate agency, people that wanted to sell who've sort of said, look, we've had three valuations, we've been told it's up here, you think it's there, and we've sort of said, look, that's absolutely fine. We are, you know, we don't want to necessarily take this on at this price, no hard feelings, obviously, put it on for 4 weeks, that it should be sold then, and if it's not, we can chat again. So that there is really important for some, you know, a business like us where we're so confident in what we believe because we don't need the numbers. It's not a numbers game anymore. We can walk away from it, and that's probably why we've got that higher sales statistic.
I totally agree. Steve, any additionals to that, or is that pretty much sum it up?
I agree with everything all three of you have said, but I've always been an advocate that unfortunately, any Tom, Dick and Harry can walk to the local high street, rent a unit and become an estate agent. And I've worked for a number of agencies, and unfortunately, some of the new people coming in aren't being taught basics, i.e. common law, what you're expected to do for your client. I see Rightmove have launched in their hub a training program. I'm doing it, although I've also got a City and Guilds in estate agency. I'm fully qualified, I'm highly experienced, and I pride myself on that. I personally think if we're going more down the American model, that everyone should be licensed and accountable for their advice that they give, because they're affecting people's day-to-day lives.
Yeah, I totally agree. There's a lot of impact in there, isn't there? And I think
huge.
You've got to go hand in hand with having a better level of step into the industry, be it qualification of some sort, and then there has to be a better template and model in play to make sure that the client gets the right level of service without question.
100%.
Yeah, totally agree. Okay, well, it's good that we covered that. I think it's only right that we kind of wish this guy a little happy birthday. So Sanjay, I can't imagine you're watching our live chat, buddy, but if you are, well done. Happy birthday to you. Sanjay is 56 today.
Wait, come on, he's 39. Don't do that.
How old is Sanjay? Does anyone know?
39.
Is he 39?
Is he really? No.
Same age as me.
He's not, is he?
No, he's not. I have no idea. I think he's mid-30s. Who knows?
Yeah.
Either way, someone's going to have offended him.
Yeah.
If anyone's watching and you know how old Sanjay is, let us know in the comments. We would love to hear. Sanjay, if you're watching and you're not 39 or 56, then let us know. Let us know, Mr. Sanjay Patel. Happy birthday to you.
Will, I thought you were going to sing.
Happy birthday.
Someone mute him. Right. So one of the topics that we were going to talk about in the live chat is this, and I'll explain it because it's long-winded. So what increases property values outside of the standard supply versus demand and a refurbishment? So if we're not putting those into context, what factors in and around the town, the area, what makes properties different in value? So if all four of us had exactly the same build, Bovis townhouse, 3-story, kitchen and breakfast room on the ground floor, bathroom, and then upstairs we've got 3 bedrooms and an ensuite, blah, blah, blah. We've all got the same layout. What are the factors that are going to make that property different outside of the market and outside of refitting it out? Steve, do you want to go first?
Yeah. I think the biggest one that I've experienced throughout the years is a very good school. You get an outstanding school, that catchment area. People are fighting to get into the catchment area. We've got an estate in Cosham called Highbury Estate, and they changed the catchment area, and the population of the estate went through the floor. It was people were moving there for that catchment area.
I'm worried about that with where I sit, because my catchment map looks a bit like this. And if they chop that bit off and just round it, I'm in this little bit up the top here.
Yeah.
It's a bit like a nipple. I'm in the top of the nipple.
But then the feeder schools to those schools, because a lot of schools now do feeder schools. And the feeder schools are just as important to get the catchment for those to get into the school that you want to be in. So catchments for schools is my number one.
Catchments, yeah, big. Will, Ryan, who's going next? What would you say?
Go on, Will, you go next.
I was going to say the big one for us being in Crowthorne, you and I, Ian, live in Crowthorne as well, and obviously working here, is the schools. It's got to be that Edgeborough catchment for Crowthorne. That is the reason that families look to move here, and it's not a big place, Crowthorne, as we both know, and that ultimately drives the demand up, because rather than just one person that wants to buy this family home, which is in walking distance to the school, you end up having 3 or 4 that are kind of fighting over it. So over time, that's just driven prices up. So, having that all important RG45 postcode has generally been, why the house prices have been a bit more expensive than perhaps some of the surrounding towns. So I definitely agree with the schools there, because we're working in it, we're living in it.
Right, and as someone that's worked Central Reading, now working West Reading, Tilehurst, and I was in London on Tuesday, and I did the Reading, Paddington, Elizabeth line. So I jumped on the fast train to Paddington, and then from Paddington jumped on the Elizabeth line to Canary Wharf. I mean, that Elizabeth line has really kind of made a huge difference. So transport, is it still as important after COVID, or is it not? Like,
I absolutely think it is, and even obviously pre-COVID, it was massive. My whole career obviously has been Central Reading and the outskirts of Wokingham, where it's always been about transport links, whether that's M4 access, whether it's train lines. But the mainline station in Reading is it's massive, and people if you live in the area like I do and have done for years and years and years, you just take it for granted. The fact if you need to go to London, you can be in Paddington in 25 minutes.
Yeah.
Like, it's quicker from Reading to get to central London than most places in London to get to central London. Like that's the reality. So yeah, absolutely. I think transport links, that was one thing I was going to say other than schools. Transport links are still a massive persuasion for buyers to go for one property over another, purely because it's not even if you don't use it every day, it's just knowing it's there. I know mate, I'm only 32, makes me sound old, but the bus systems as well are like a massive thing. I was a bit snobby, I didn't go on the buses, but actually they're so good. Like, they're so good in Reading. So transport links are great, key. I think being close to town centre as well, again, same as the transport links, even if you don't use it every day, just the fact that it's on your doorstep, I think is a massive feature. So basically what we've described is the perfect property will be 2 minutes from town centre, next to a railway station, in a really good school catchment, and a nice non-estate location.
With a lovely bit of nature.
Yeah, with the woodlands behind. Perfect.
Yeah. That would be spot on.
And a swimming pool, yeah.
So buses, I've got a whole different outlook on buses after watching Race Across the World. Buses in the UK are just not like they're made in Kazakhstan or Singapore. Whole different outlook on buses. If you haven't watched a Race Across the World, watch it, check it out. Good points there. I think nature, and in particular kind of forest areas and nature reserves and places like that, I do think that really took an important trigger from lockdown. And I remember kind of working properties in Forest Park, which just sort of borders onto Swinley Forest, and people were moving from London to live on the outside of Bracknell because they wanted Swinley Forest on their doorstep and they didn't want to travel an hour anymore. And I think that's had a big impact as well. So all of those things that we spoke about definitely makes a big difference. Michelle Bock, Stuart has come in. I probably shouldn't have just pressed show. I didn't read it. So let's just check and make sure it's not reading. Evening, guys. Got a question for you here. Do you ever see this? A viewer offers 55k below the asking price, 430 on a 485, for example. Do you think they lose their credibility, and therefore when they come to a sensible offer, the owner distrusts them, so it can't be agreed? So I guess the question is, do we feel that if a buyer lowballs too hard, that actually they're dismissed as a bit of a joke, basically, I would say? Will, come to you first on that, because I can only just see your head now.
Yeah. I've worked in markets sort of all round, and one particular place worse than sort of others for this sort of thing, and it was constant.
Burnham?
Yeah, Slough, and it was. You put something on there, and you would never ever get people offering that unless it was really cheap. And people would try that, and it's a really difficult one to even put across to a seller. Our job is to obviously put all offers forward in the best possible light, right? So, but it's a really difficult job to do when somebody is off, trying to get off so much money. So yes, I do think, and I have seen it then when people sort of actually I really love it, and they work their way back up, and that it tends to be the same sort of people that then jump up in little increments. They might do it 5 or 6 times because they're trying to find the lowest point. And the sellers and even the estate agent, I suspect to a point, would just be like, this is just, we're going around the houses here. And then also, if you do then, get to a level that you're happy with, is that seller then in the back of their mind thinking, right, well, we've got 3 or 4 months working together. Is this person really comfortable paying what they've agreed to, or are they going to, chance it again 4 months down the line?
Yeah, great points, mate. Really well put. I'd love to know, Stuart, if that is a live example, and you've got a property at 485 and you've received a 430 offer, and how was the conversation with the seller if it is? Yeah, Steve, on your take, kills credibility, yes or no? What would you say?
Short answer, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think
there's an old saying that
depends if it's a seller selling it or if it's a corporate sale, like if it's a repossession, or still same story?
No, as I was just about to say, and the old saying in the industry is an Englishman's home's their castle. We're very emotional about our property in the UK. And you're offending someone, that's their home. If it's a corporate client, then there is no feelings to hurt. But unfortunately, the human race, we do take things too personally sometimes. And yeah, I think it can offend someone and turn them off of you as a buyer.
Ryan, any additions on that? What's your thoughts?
Yeah, they'd absolutely lose their credibility. And not just like at the end of the day, the sellers are paying us and instructing us for our knowledge and experience to do right by them.
Yeah.
If someone offered that low off, in percentage terms, that was, close to 15% of the asking price, I'd say I'm rejecting it on behalf of my seller. I'm going to give him a call legally, so I need to put it forward. Hi, Mrs. Seller, got this offer. Obviously, I know it's ridiculous. We're going to reject it and we'll move on. And then if they come back to a sensible number. But yeah, I'd be, if people come in really with no justification, then almost wouldn't work with them again. That's how I feel about it.
I think it's important to highlight as well, if a lot of the time I find when this happens, it's more often not on a property which is phenomenal inside. It's normally on a dated or an average property. And what sometimes buyers forget is the valuation takes into context the current condition of the house. It's not valued at its potential, it's valued at what it's worth today. And sometimes buyers will see a property on at 485 and they go, well, it needs a new bathroom, there's £8,000. It needs a new kitchen, there's 20 grand. It needs the wall rebuilding in the garden, there's £5,000. And they start to work this down. And what they forget is that's part of the valuation. The reason it needs those is why it's on at 485 and not 525 or 530. So definitely worth highlighting that. Great question there. Go around the room quickly on any little instructions that you want to talk about, anything that's really worth people going and checking out on the socials, any crackers, anything coming soon. Will, kicking off with you. I've seen loads of Beat the Portals for you guys this week, so you've probably got loads.
Yeah, we have. Too many to mention, seeing as we're going around the room, but we have an absolute corker coming on in Barkham. It's called White Cottage. It's sort of 1800s character cottage. Was originally 2 cottages converted into 1. It sits on sort of 1/4 of an acre plot. It overlooks fields behind, fields to the front, 4 double bedrooms. Stunning.
It's a cracker, is it?
Yeah, 935. If anyone's interested.
Is that the one that Mike was doing in the garden?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I've got a link for that. Let me throw that in the comments so people can check it out, because that is a pretty spectacular one. So there it is. It's in the comments on the Facebook link. Steve, what about yourself, buds?
I've got a lovely little investment flat down in Southsea, a couple of 100 yards from Portsmouth University, Gunwharf Quays in the common, 10-15 minute walk away, 2 double bedrooms, well presented. It was rented out for £1,100, and on the purchase price, that's over a 7% return on value. So, yeah, good little investment. That went live 2 days ago, so it's getting a lot of views at the moment. So, if you're interested in having a look at that one, get in touch with me on my details.
Nice yield, nice investment down on the south coast. So, yeah, use it whenever you want, I guess, if you didn't want to just Airbnb it the whole time. So, yeah, nice one. I'll put the link for that in comments as well. Ryan, what about yourself and Lauren? Anything anything you want to particularly talk about?
We've got a couple of nice 3 beds coming on the market in a few weeks. Literally, just before we jumped on, I was editing a video here. Oh, the blur's got me. There we go. Editing a video there, ready to go. That's a 3-bed semi. There we go. That's coming on the market literally tomorrow. So just finishing the editing on that now. That's a really good 3-bed in Tilehurst. It's got conservatory, beautiful garden, refitted kitchen. It's just a really cool house and good price, good location. So yeah.
What road is that, Brian?
It's in Stoneham Close, which is off a road called Cockney Hill. If you know where the Asda and Prospect Park is in West Reading, it's literally 30 seconds from there.
Is there anything on your page with that one yet? Have you done a Beat the Portals or anything?
There's a Beat the Portals on there from last week because we had to wait a week to do photos. But yeah, there's a Beat the Portals in there if you want to put a link in there.
Okay. I'll hunt that down.
That was last Wednesday, I think I did the Beat the Portals on that one.
Nice. Well, there it is. Yeah, I'll put that in there. I can see Ryan. Nice T-shirt you had on that day. It looks like a nice warm day, Ryan.
Yeah, what I can't remember what T-shirt was.
Going on. A little bit of peachy coral going on there.
Oh, I love. Yeah, it's my favourite one.
Slightly off-brand, but don't worry about that.
Little next number, that one.
Yeah, very nice, very nice. Well, all of those links are in there, so people can check them out regardless of whose socials you're following. It's always good to see these properties we're talking about. So yeah, if you want to check those out on the links, that'd be great. We're going to be back next week, 6 o'clock on Thursday, which I think will be a new month next week. I think Thursday is the 1st of June. So that is going to be the end of May. And we'll potentially be able to give you some stats and statistics on how May has ended as well. Ryan, Will, Steve, great conversation. Covered a lot there, haven't we? So, yeah, thank you for the comments and questions. And thanks to you guys as well. Anyone got anything to add before we wrap up?
Thanks for hosting, Ian.
Well done.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Swimming in open water. Be safe.
Yeah. Now you can take your top off as well, Steve. Now.
Yeah.
You don't want to see that, honestly.
Shall I leave it live for that?
No, I'm going to leave now.
No, it will crash the internet. Please don't.
Yeah, not quite the watershed. So see you next week, everyone.
Cheers, guys.
Take care.
Bye-bye.